What's your latest on the situation on the ground in Ukraine?
Well, the balance is tipping. The West has committed an extraordinary amount of defensive equipment to Ukraine, properly, because it's in the interest of the West to do so, not just Ukraine. And so what you see now is all sorts of Russian bases that were further away from the front lines now being taken out by HIMARS and Howitzers and all sorts of long-range artillery that the Ukrainians have. They are very actively laying the groundwork for a new counterattack in the south, towards Kherson, which is the only major city that's been occupied by the Russians. So, in some respects, it's going to be a very long winter for the Russian occupiers of Ukraine as the Ukrainians move into a counterattack.
Now, there's a geostrategic argument that's increasingly being made about Ukraine, which I think is very helpful to the Ukrainian people. And it refers to Taiwan. And people are saying that if a lot of quite informed observers, I think most recently, including the former Foreign Minister for Australia, Alexander Downer, I used to work for, saying that if Russia is allowed to get away with annexing Ukraine without getting serious, effectively, war with the West, without being prevented from doing so, then that would be a green light to China and Taiwan. So it's important in order to maintain the balance of power in East Asia, the West must make sure that Ukraine prevails. That helps Ukraine, doesn't it?
Very much so. You know, we have an international legal principle of sovereignty.
Yeah.
And if we don't stand up for that legal principle of sovereignty, then China or anybody else who wants to play around in our own neighborhood has essentially an imprimatur to do so. If international legal frameworks don't matter, then big bad bullies will do whatever they like, be it China, be it Russia. So yeah, there is a lot at stake here that is more than just, you know, people that I happen to love.
Is Australia doing enough, and has there been enough continuity of that support since the change of government?
There has been. You know, the position that Australia has taken, whether it was under the former government or under the current government, is so admired in Ukraine itself, because everybody recognizes that Australia is punching well above its weight, $380 million worth of aid so far, highly targeted aid in terms of the type of equipment we've given and the type of support we've given. It's more than just the cute koala factor in Australia, in Ukraine. It's a recognition that this country actually does stand up on a bipartisan basis for things that matter, like sovereignty and democracy.
So it should. Thanks so much for joining us again, Pete.
Pleasure.
Pete Schmeigel there. You can read his piece in The Spectator Australia.